Angela Rayner's radical plans to reshape England's local government have sent shockwaves across political circles and local councils alike. Labour's Deputy Prime Minister has thrown down the gauntlet, declaring that every single region in England must have a mayor, with sweeping powers to drive economic growth, tackle housing, and take control over education and transport. It's a bold, sweeping vision that could see the biggest overhaul of local government in half a century. But not everyone is buying into Rayner's grand plan. Critics have lined up to tear it apart, claiming it could cause chaos, wipe out local representation, and create mega-councils that strip communities of their voices. But Rayner, standing firm, made one thing abundantly clear during her fiery announcement. This isn't optional. Labour's devolution drive will become the default, and where local leaders can't agree, Labour ministers will step in and knock heads together. Now check out the clip of Angela Rayner where she says, "I want the whole of England to have mayors."
I want to see the whole of England to have mayors, yes, and it's about working with them now. I know some areas it'll take them a bit longer to get there, and we want to work with them because I want to have a council of mayors for England that will really be able to drive the growth in their local areas. So by devolving more powers through the mayoral combined authority on things like housing, planning, education, employment, skills, I think we can really deliver the growth and change that those areas are crying out for.
So, what exactly does Labour want to achieve here? In an interview following her announcement, Angela Rayner didn't hold back. She described the UK as the most centralised country in Europe, accusing successive governments of micromanaging regions from Whitehall while neglecting their potential. Labour believes that handing power to regional mayors will unlock investment, streamline decision-making, and allow local leaders to deliver real change. But this is far bigger than just installing mayors. Under the proposals, Labour wants to dismantle the current two-tier system of local government. For those not familiar with this labyrinthine structure, let me break it down. In many parts of England, local government is split between smaller district councils, responsible for services like bin collection, and larger county councils, which handle social care, education, and other big-ticket services. Labour's plan? Scrap that patchwork altogether. District and county councils would merge into unitary authorities with one single body responsible for everything. This, Labour says, will simplify local government, reduce costs, and give mayors the powerful platforms they need to make transformative decisions. But here's where the real drama begins. The proposals are already sparking outrage from smaller councils and critics who say they could devastate local democracy. The District Councils network, which represents these smaller councils, didn't mince words, warning that Labour's plans could create a period of turmoil that leaves councils distracted and unable to focus on critical services like building homes and easing NHS pressures. Hannah Dalton, the network's vice chair, slammed the idea of mega-councils, saying there's little evidence that past reorganisations actually saved taxpayers' money. The creation of mega-councils could prove the opposite of devolution, Dalton declared, accusing Labour of centralising power under the guise of reform. Meanwhile, the Conservatives wasted no time attacking the announcement. One senior Tory claimed Labour was imposing these changes without local consent, calling it a power grab that would strip councils of their authority. Typical Labour, they sneered, big on bold claims, but low on detail and respect for local voices. And it's not just the Tories who are sceptical. The Liberal Democrats chimed in, accusing Labour of ignoring the real issue, funding. Council budgets, they pointed out, are already stretched to the brink. Without proper financial investment, they argued, reorganising councils and electing new mayors won't solve anything. In fact, it could push local services, already hanging by a thread, over the edge. But Labour isn't budging. Since taking office, they've already begun rolling out devolution deals in several regions, including Greater Lincolnshire, Devon and Torbay, Lancashire and Hull and East Yorkshire. These deals are seen as a test run for Rayner's bigger ambitions, but the scale of what Labour is now proposing goes far beyond anything in their election manifesto. Analysts are calling it the most significant shake-up of local government since the 1970s. Imagine it. Dozens of district councils wiped off the map, replaced by sprawling unitary authorities overseen by powerful new mayors. Labour is betting big on this idea, claiming it will drive growth, simplify services, and give local leaders the tools they need to deliver for their communities. Take North Yorkshire, for example. Last year, 8 smaller councils were merged into a single unitary authority with a combined mayoral structure. Labour sees this as a success story, a blueprint for what could happen across the rest of the country, but critics remain unconvinced, pointing to the loss of local representation and the risks of creating massive bureaucracies that feel out of touch with the communities they serve. Supporters of Labour's plan argue that regional mayors, like Andy Burnham in Greater Manchester or Sadiq Khan in London, have proven the potential of devolved power. They point to successes in housing, transport, and regional growth as examples of what can be achieved when local leaders are given the tools to make real decisions. But let's not pretend everyone's happy about this. Smaller councils are fighting for their survival, arguing that local issues can't be solved by distant authorities. And there's the big question Labour still hasn't fully answered. How much of this reorganisation will actually save money? Past reforms have often promised efficiency but delivered little more than confusion and cost overruns. And what about the communities themselves? Residents in smaller towns and villages could find their voices drowned out under these new megastructures. After all, when decision-making is consolidated, whose interests really get prioritised? This is a high-stakes gamble for Labour. On one hand, they're offering a vision of a transformed England, one where powerful local leaders drive economic growth, tackle housing shortages, and create jobs. It's a vision that could resonate with voters frustrated by years of stagnation. But on the other hand, if these reforms go wrong, if they cause chaos, waste money, and alienate communities, Labour risks facing a backlash that could undermine their entire project. The stakes couldn't be higher for Angela Rayner and Keir Starmer, and let's not forget the politics at play here. The Conservatives, still reeling from their election defeat, are already framing this as Labour's first big misstep, an example of heavy-handed government imposing changes from above. Expect them to hammer this point relentlessly in the months to come. For now, Labour is pressing ahead. Ministers are expected to announce which regions will be prioritised for devolution in due course, with the aim of holding mayoral elections in May 2026. Local councils, meanwhile, are scrambling to figure out what this means for them. Will they merge willingly, or will Labour have to make good on its threat to knock heads together? Angela Rayner's vision for England is bold, dramatic, and undeniably controversial. Whether it's the future of local democracy or a recipe for chaos remains to be seen. But one thing's for sure, this is a political battle that's only just beginning. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button and stay tuned for more explosive news.